Hello, my name is Julia Strand. I teach in the psychology department at Carleton, and my courses also contribute to the cognitive science program and the neuroscience concentration. Some of my classes include principles of psychology, sensation and perception, the psychology of spoken words, and cognitive and perceptual expertise. My research is on hearing and how people perceive and process spoken language. Today, I'd like to demonstrate some remarkable things about your sense of hearing. To help illustrate just how remarkable hearing is, I'd like to do a little thought experiment. I'd like you to picture a lake, perhaps similar to Carleton's Lyman Lakes. Carved into the side of the lake are two narrow channels, and each channel has a handkerchief stretched across it. Using only information about the movement of the handkerchiefs, you must determine how many sailboats are on the lake and how far away they are. This would be an impossible task, but it is exactly what our auditory system must do. The narrow channels are the auditory canals, and the handkerchiefs are the eardrums. Using only information about vibrations on the eardrums and with your eyes closed, you can guess how big a dog is by its bark, determine if a car is getting closer or farther away, and even estimate how many different people are speaking in a crowd. One of the really incredible things about the auditory system is that we can perceive a very large range of intensities, which we hear as changes in loudness. This range is so large that we need a specific set of tools to describe it, and this is where logarithms come in. The logarithmic scale is a method of reducing wide-ranging quantities to a more human-friendly scale. Just as we'd rather describe something as being 2 weeks rather than a million seconds, using logarithmic scales lets us talk about really small and really large numbers in a way that's more simple and intuitive. These log scales are widely used in science. The Richter scale to measure earthquakes and the pH scale to measure the acidity of solutions are both logarithmic. Today we'll talk about how these log scales are used in hearing research. The range of intensities that humans can perceive is absolutely staggering. The quietest sound that humans can generally perceive is 10 to the negative 12 watts per meter squared. That's 0.000000000001 watts per meter squared. A sound with that intensity displaces particles of air by about 1/billionth of a centimeter. So that's the hearing limit on the low end. On the high end of intensity, the threshold of pain is 10 watts per meter squared, which is 100 trillion times the intensity of threshold. So this is a huge range of sensitivity and covers a full 12 orders of magnitude. To put this in perspective, 12 orders of magnitude for length would be the difference between the width of your finger and the distance from the Earth to the sun, and we can hear it all. To make this huge range easier to talk about, we convert the raw intensity measured in watts per meter squared to a friendlier decibel scale. To do this, we calculate the ratio of a given intensity to the threshold of hearing. Let's use a couple other locations at Carleton in this discussion. The sound of a soft whisper in the library, 10 to the negative 10 watts per meter squared, has 100 times the intensity of the threshold of hearing. Shh. The sound of a roaring crowd at a football game has 1 trillion times the intensity of the threshold of hearing. Log scales are particularly useful for describing hearing because our perception of loudness also follows a logarithmic response. If hearing followed a linear pattern, then something would sound twice as loud when the intensity doubled. In fact, for something to sound twice as loud, the intensity has to be increased by a factor of 10. This means that humans are hearing logarithmically, which helps enable us to make use of this huge range of intensities. So, log scales are useful both for describing large ranges and also represent the way that humans perceive sound. In the problem of the week this week, you will see how logarithms are relevant for describing loudness perception. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you on campus in the fall. Thanks for listening.